Hi everyone, welcome to episode 14 of Yarn Allied Knits podcast. I'm your host Nicole, and welcome to all regular viewers. It's great to have you to stop by again, and a big welcome to all new viewers. Thanks for finding the time to check me out. Today I have my acquisitions from Mount Pleasant Fibre and Fleece Festival. And I've been in the dye pot again. I've got some works in progress and a couple of whips and a little bit of guild news and news of an upcoming knit along or crochet along, craft along. Although, yeah, let's just go knit along. It's too hard to try and describe it otherwise. So my name's Nicole. Yeah, coming to you from the northeastern suburbs of Adelaide in South Australia, Australia. It's, what's today? Sunday the 21st of August. Yes, that's what it says on my phone. We're a little bit later, almost a week later than normal. The rest of the family have gone out. They've had a few odd jobs and bits and pieces to do. So, because all the kids have gone with my husband, he was trying to find an excuse that I had to go along too. Silas's, my eldest son's computer charger cord broke, so he's off to find a new one for his school computer, which is really inconveniencing. It's a pain in the bum trying to find one because it's a Lenovo computer and they've sold out everywhere, so he has to get a generic one that doesn't fit, that Justin will have to do a little bit of tweaking to. So that's not good. But I'm not buying another darn computer for him to chuck in his bag every day to go to school with. The same thing will happen again. So yeah, that's not going to happen. I'm a mum, wife of 3 kids. I've got Scarlett, Silas and Elijah. Silas being my eldest, Elijah being my middle child and Scarlett being my youngest. A teenager, he's tween, he's going to be 12 in December, and a 2-year-old that had her birthday on the 10th, so almost 2 weeks ago now. So I was trying to do a podcast earlier in the week. When I was due to do one, it fell a few days shy of Mount Pleasant, which was I think the 13th of August, and I was due to do one on the 10th, and I thought, no, I'll do one after I've gone there, so I've got something to show you guys. And then that was on Wednesday, Thursday. I usually try and do it, and it just didn't happen. I tried, got ready, but Miss Muffet wouldn't sleep during the day. She'd had her 5 minutes car nap from coming home when we've been out and about in the morning, and she thinks that's enough for her, which is most annoying. So anyway, that's pretty much enough of me off the random introductory waffle. Let's get into it. So let's go for finished objects. I did show you my Abu shawl, which is going into the Canadian along, because it's by a Canadian designer, Lisa Much, which is also known as Northbound Knitting. And this is made out of, the reason why I'm showing it again, because I blocked it, so it's all nice and blocked out, and I've worn it a couple of times just around the house, and it's really nice and soft. The yarn I used is some of my hand-dyed Ethical Merino, which is beautiful and soft, but I haven't been able to repurchase the undyed yarn, but apparently I should get more. Although I do have some 8-ply that I'm going to dye out, but restocking should happen late August, September. So probably won't be shipped out to Australia until late September now. So it's coming back, which I'm really grateful for, because I had been trying to find something else that I'd use as one of my bases, and I just couldn't Nothing rocked my socks like it did with this. The price point of it is really good. It's what is it? Australian ethical fine merino, and it's beautifully nice and soft. So, and they've sort of taken extra steps into the welfare of the sheep, being called it ethical merino. It's not organic, which I don't sort of, not that I don't care, I don't mind either way, but yeah, I'm more keen on the welfare of the animal rather than the processing of the yarn, shall we say. But yeah, I really like it, and it's lovely and soft and really nice around your face and neck, and it's wearing nicely too, minus the long border collie hairs. She's shedding like she wouldn't believe, and it's starting to really drive me nuts. And I just haven't found the time to. She needs another good brushing. That's my border collie kitty, which she's asleep just down there. Yeah, so this is, I'm really happy with this. Slightly asymmetrical shawl. It's not a very deep shawl. There we go. And just, it's nice where, it's a nice design where you can let the yarn do the talking and the colour of the yarn rather than making, having lace work or whatever. It's quite understated, so you can go really, really vibrant with your colour choices, or you can keep it quite subdued and have it just a nice accessory. So yeah, hopefully I should be able to replicate the grey again when I get the yarn back in, but the purple was supposed to be a variegated red, black and grey, and it kind of muted into purple with blobs of red and bits of grey through it as well, so it goes nicely with the grey. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say on that one. I really like it. I haven't worn it officially out of the house, but it will happen. So then, yeah, I might leave that one on. So that's on that one. I feel I had to go re-talk about it because it was officially blocked, where the last time I hadn't blocked it, I'd just finished it. So anyway, my next finished objects, which has been blocked and finished, is my Messalina shawl by Kay Jones from the Bakery Bears podcast. It's nice shallow crescent shaped shawl that has a, I can't see it very well, has a cable panel. Yeah, you might be able to see it like that if I show it through the cable panel through the centre. And what I liked about this is this, as they described it, the guys can wear it as well. It's not too pretty, not too feminine, that you can make it in neutral colours, or you can make it a bit more blokey like a navy blue, and make it for the guys, which I reckon, because the shawls are slightly deeper and when it's around their neck it's a bit warmer, and I quite like it. I'm not sure whether I'm going to keep this or give it to my uncle for Christmas, because he crochets, so he likes he will be knit worthy, but I'm sort of humming and hawing over it. The yarn I used was a yarn that I got from a raffle that I won at the Guild a couple of months ago. It's Payton's Alpaca Classic, so it's got 10% alpaca in it, and it just has, because it's probably a discontinued yarn, because a lot of the yarns that we have from offer are either donations or deceased estates and what have you, so they sort of get recycled, not recycled, reused, rehomed as such, yeah, with raffles and the Guild goes to raffles off, and it goes to money towards the guild and bits and pieces that they do. It's a little bit tickly compared to the merino, but it's not like you can't wear it around your neck, and it's not like it'd be intolerable. It's just that feels a lot more snugger and feels a lot more cozier. So yeah, so they're my two finished objects. I'll take this off, so I'm getting a little warm. I guess we'll go straight into works in progress. I haven't made a hell of a lot of progress on my socks that I've been making. I've gotten a little bit obsessed. I've picked up the Cosy Memories blanket and got very obsessed with it, where I like to be enjoying sitting on the couch watching TV or watching the Olympics of an evening, trying to hang out until the late hours of to watch some of the equestrian, but I haven't watched a hell of a lot of it, and now I think it's almost finished. It'll be finished tonight, won't it? I'm not sure. So I've been sitting on the couch watching the Olympics, doing some Cosy Memories. So in the last couple of weeks, since the last, I think I pretty much picked it up the day after I podcasted last. So I have done, all up I've done 25 squares, 25, I'm on my 26th. So from the last time I showed you, we were coming along here. So we've got, I think I'd last showed you this one. So I've done, so basically I started in the black corner next to the purple one, down on your right hand side, I guess it would be, down here. Anyway, I'm probably not describing it very well. So started there, so I end up working around the square. So I'll go along the top and then I'll go up the side. So from the last time I put some stitch markers so I know where I haven't shown you guys. So I've done the green, which is a Moda Vera Spotlight yarn, and so is that one. And then it went down the bottom here. This one in the corner is some of Give Me a Crown, Nina's hand dyed, which is quite cute. So I put that in there. So that one, because it had the greens and the bluey, the greeny blues, I made that Elijah. So he was like the greens and the blues, because all the squares, as I've told most of you before, they represent my kids. So the black in the corner, being my eldest child, was Silas. So the diagonals, it's getting too big that I can't show it very well. Where are we? Here. So it goes up in diagonal. So the black square, and it goes up there, and that represents Silas. The purple into the pinks. The pinks and purples represent Scarlet, and then you've got the teal, blues and greens, and that represent Elijah. Some of the yarns I've made them things. Some, for instance, I'm making Silas a pair of fingerless gloves out of this black, and I made Elijah a pair of fingerless gloves out of this teal. The purple, I made a little Premi cardigan for Scarlet, one of the little Sunnyside cardigans, but being they only went to newborn size, I altered it a little bit by taking out a few stitches in the cable panels, or the lace panel, if you're familiar with the panel, with the pattern, because it's a top-down, it's a free pattern, it's a top-down cardigan. So to make it a little bit narrower, I think I just took a couple of stitches around where the yoke for the arms to the neck is, to make it a little bit smaller, and it fitted quite well. I've got a photo of her having a hissy fit in my lap. Yeah, it's quite cute. She's got this cardigan on and booties that I think my mum made. She's quite cute. So yeah, and then she had booties in this. I made Elijah some socks in this one. There's a preemie hat. I made a preemie hat for Scarlett in this, and there's photos of her in the humidity crib with it on. So yeah, some fond memories, and even some of the other bits and pieces like this. I've made myself some socks in. I think that's a merino cashmere nylon that I got in a swap. These two were from Amber she's Yarn Hoarder on Instagram and Ravelry. Did a mini skein swap, and these guys R2D2 and Chewbacca. So yeah, Elijah and Silas. Yeah, so back to the ones that I haven't showed you, because I think I've showed many of you all those before. So there. So that is. So this one is from some of my hand dyed that I did the Spindrift Shawl by Curious Handmade. That is, yeah, that's my grade. That was in this one, and the purple is right next to it. Coincidentally, that's a bit random, because yeah, this one it wasn't intended to be next to each other, but they just fell that way. This is from Give Me a Crown, Nina from Give Me a Crown podcast. That's Kathy's Fibres, some white gum wool, Kathy's Fibres again, some opal cotton. That's Tracy from Knit Spin Weave up in Clare. That's some of her hand dyed. Again, some of Kathy's Fibres. That's some Painton's Croy that I showed you last month. This was a sock. I know it was a sock blank, but I can't remember. Cosy Knit. Oh, I can't remember who it was, but that was from Amber again with the Yarn Hoarder, the mini skein swap. That's from the brioche cowl that I did earlier this year. That was Lang Yarn's sock yarn. It's a single ply that has a bit of sparkle in it. Some more of Nina's from Give Me a Crown, her hand dyed. That's some Knit Picks Felici. So yeah, you get the general gist. I've done a few. I think I'm on the 26th one since the last time I spoke to you guys. Now where's that gone? So yeah, and it's been really nice just sit and knit without having to follow a pattern. Just, you know what you're doing, and anything that you try and get one done a night, and you go, yeah, I'll start another one, and you go, no, maybe I'll just go to bed. So that's it. And being that it's still winter, I only a few more weeks left. I should get it finished, but it probably won't happen. I'll let it be what it is without it feeling the pressure of having to get it finished. So next one that I have on the needles is the monkey socks. I haven't, as like I've said, I haven't done a hell of a lot of knitting on these. I've turned the heel, and that's about as far as I've got. Yeah, let me put it on one of the sock blockers, and that way you can see how much I've done. There we go. So I've taken the heel. I might do some more of this evening rather than doing Cozy Memories. And that's in Stranded in Oz. Now, I did see her at Mount Pleasant, and she did mention what the colour was, but I know that was for the purpley toned one. But yeah, I should really get onto that because it's not much to do. And I grafted the other one, so that's all fully completed. And that's the Monkey Socks by Cookie A. They're on 2.5mm needles, double point needles. And then I've got the SKYP socks by Adrienne. Those ones there. There's a free pattern on Ravelry as well. So I'm up to the second sock of those, but I've only basically got. I'll put the completed sock because you haven't seen the first sock of it, I don't think. These will be for my father-in-law for Father's Day, which is in Australia, it is on the first Sunday in September. Yes. So, and the yarn is Modavera Spotlight sock yarn. I can't remember. I think it's a discontinued yarn, so I can't fully remember. And I had a couple of part balls of this, so I was able to start them at the same, so there'll be symmetry. I think they're probably half a row out, if that. Again on 2.5mm on my Knit Pros needles, and I'm doing the 72 stitch one. So yeah, there's that one. And then what's that? Oh, I went to the football last night. There was a AFL, Adelaide Crows played Port Adelaide Power. So a girlfriend is a member, and she goes to every game, and she had a spare ticket because it was a Port Power home game. She had a few spare tickets because of her friends that weren't in the country at the time, so she had their members tickets, so I was able to go, which was awesome. So I thought I'd start something, because I usually take my knitting to the footy, and I thought, well, I'll start something that I don't have double pointed needles because I was going on my own. The rest of the family are here at home, much to my husband's disgust. Yeah, the wife goes to the AFL and the husband stays home to look after the kids. I like that. Don't call me a feminist, just call me, what's fair is fair. But yeah, and I thought, well, I'll start something that I'll do in the round. Start a pair of socks that won't be. I've lost something. Oh, bugger. I've lost ball band. Over there? No, Scarlett ripped it off, so it's gone AWOL now. But, so yeah, so I started what are they called? Not magical loop, is it? Yeah, I think. It's not on double pointed needles, let's say that. Oh, it escaped me now. And I've only done a few rows. This is a Lana Grosser sock yarn that my friend Eleanor gave me before she moved home to New Zealand. And it's been in my stash for a little while. And I have this idea. Usually I make something handmade for the family for Christmas. And I made a heap of face washes last year. And the year before I had the crocheting bug that I knitted a heap of crocheted snowflakes as Christmas decorations. And this year I'm thinking I might do socks for everybody, but hence I'm starting in August. Usually I don't start until late November with the face washes and the crocheted snowflakes. But I'm thinking this now. I don't know how it will pan out. It'll mean that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pairs of socks to knit, and a lot of them I don't know whether they'd wear them and be knit worthy of it. There's a few. The father-in-law, he loves his hand knitted socks. My mum loves her hand knitted socks. I even think my mother-in-law would like another pair of hand knitted socks. My stepfather would do it. Even my husband doesn't care for them. But yeah, it's more, Justin's brother's side of the family, I don't know whether the girls would, I don't know whether the boys would, but I'm sure. But the thing is, the boys wore, because the boys are, one's a builder's labourer, so he'd probably appreciate them if he used them in his work boots. They'd probably be a lot more comfortable than normal thick explorer socks that a lot of the fellas do wear. But who knows? See how it pans out. They might get all a pair of socks, or only a few might, and I might have to think of something else to give them. But anyway, so that one's, I was just going to do a basic vanilla sock and let the self-striping do the talking. So that was on and these were going to be a pair of guys' socks because they're on a 72 stitch. They have 72 stitches. Although the needle size is a 2.25, only because it was the first one that I pulled out of my case. Because I haven't used these the Magic Loop. Yeah, it is Magic Loop. I haven't used many of these for knitting socks. I think this is officially the first time I've used the single Magic Loop method on a pair of socks. Usually I do it toe up, 2 at a time. But because I wanted to quickly start something so I could take it to the football, which coincidentally I didn't do any knitting to, in the end I was too close to the game. I wasn't up in the nosebleeds like I usually am. We were like three or four rows from the southern goal end, which was awesome. So the experience was a bit more in there, and you wanted to watch the football more often because you could see it, and you could see the biffo and the niggle that was happening between the players and what have you, which was quite interesting. Yeah, so that was as I was saying, there's first time I've actually done the singular Magic Loop, top down, cuff down. Yeah, so yeah, and that's just one of my stitch markers that I've made a while ago that hasn't been sucked up by the vacuum cleaner. Oh, yeah. So I should put that back in there. And then, as I've showed you all 3 of the socks, I've showed you the Cosy Memories. And then there is the test knit that I have to have finished in 4 days. For Truly Myrtle. It's a top down beret that's got a little bit of cabling in it. And I didn't realise it was top down, and I haven't done a hell of a lot of it because it's just top down to me. Oh, it's not flowing, and it's not due to the pattern, the way the pattern's been written or anything. It's just the style of the pattern, as in it's top down and you're increasing, so you're having to look at the pattern every other row, which again is no fault of the pattern or anything. It's just it's not my jam at the moment. But that's hopefully I might do. And because I've chosen a dark yarn as well, it's not the best lighting. Although Justin hopefully did take my lamp where I sit and knit of an evening. The globe's been busted for a few months, so I've had to rely on overhead lighting, which is not the best at night, especially when you need to wear glasses. Don't have to, but you need to wear glasses so you can get a little bit more clarity. So knitting with darker yarn and what have you can be a little problematic. And yeah, although if I knuckled down and got into it, it'd finish off quite quickly. I've got 4 more days, so, and the next 2 days I'll be at work, which I end up having a lot of time to knit, because the shop's relatively quiet on Mondays and Tuesdays, so you know, I might get it done. I should be able to get it done. And I've chosen to use the there's a cable needle in there, the Adagio yarn I won from Give Me a Crown podcast in the brown, and that is really lovely, and it's so different. Alpaca, it's given me faith in alpaca again, how soft and delicate it is. And it seems, but it doesn't seem to have that extra, that limpness that you can get from alpaca. It can be a little bit too lofty, but it still has the beautiful softness to it. Doesn't quite have the bounce like wool does, but yeah, I'm happy. I like the yarn. I suppose I should show you. I'll show you my acquisitions, and then I can update you on Stash Dash and take charge of your stash. I think Stash Dash finishes very shortly. I think I did look it up, but I didn't write it down. It's a bit silly of me. So, my acquisitions from Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant is basically like Adelaide's Bendigo, but then when you go, you look forward to going to it every year, but because it's quite a small fibre fair, or fibre and wool fair, you go, oh, I've waited for this all year, and you spend half an hour walking around, and you go, yep, I'm done. But you sort of, you end up knowing who's there, who's going to be there, so it will, you know what you want. And a lot of the store holders are fibre sellers, so I'm not interested in buying the raw fibre or to spin, because I do a little bit of drop spindling or spinning, but not on your wheel. So that sort of doesn't interest me as much, very much so. But I knew a few of the local indie dyers were going to be there, so I was happy to go and get some of their wares. And then they've just all been to Bendigo, so their stocks are quite depleted and they can't take a hell of a lot because they don't have a lot of room. Let me have a drink. I've got a coffee here that's going cold. Anyway, so I got some lace weight merino silk, 50-50 merino silk from Kathy's Fibres. That's in her Rose Gardens colourway. I've seen this for a while on her white gum wool base, and I've been eyeing it off, and I had white gum wool coming out of my ears, so I didn't want to buy it on the white gum wool base, but I hadn't seen it on any other base. And then I had this inkling that I want to do a bit of an eyelet wrap on lace weight yarn, and so I felt compelled to buy this. It's quite pretty. It's called Rose Gardens. It's got the pinks and sort of darker pinks with a few different tones of greens, and then a sort of sandy colour through it as well. It's quite pretty. So that will be on the needles soon. I haven't found a pattern, and I've got it. I think I know what I want to do in my head. I need to put it on the needles and start putting it in motion. And then I got some yarns from Moseley Park. Now, Moseley Park, I only get to see them up at Mount Pleasant, or I can buy online, of course, but it's nicer to see, feel and touch. I always thought that they were in Kimber, but they're actually in Poochera, which is near Kimber. of those of you that may know it, who know the Eyre Peninsula very well, which is west of Adelaide, which is basically heading to Western Australia. Many years ago I worked near Ceduna in a place called Nungi, which is only still, it's not much of a town anymore, but it did once have a post office. That's why it has a town. It has a postcode, so it still has a name of the town, if that makes sense. But yeah, anyway, yeah. So I got this. This is what's it called? Chantel. It's on her Mitchell base, and I've got one of her Mitchell based yarns, which is 75 merino, 25 nylon fingering weight. And so it's got, it's pretty funky, nice and bright. So yeah, it's been skeined. It hasn't been re-skeined, should I say? So it's all got the blotches. So yeah, I'm a bit of a sucker for this, the tangerine orange, or the corally orange. That always captures my attention. And I ended up buying some dye from her as well, but I haven't used it yet, and I got the, and it was nice, but it was refreshing that I asked her a question, because I basically wanted to know what colour she used to get the corally, and she said the brilliant red, and it's like, okay, well then I'll buy that so I can try and recreate the colour. So that was nice that she was able to tell me some of her trade secrets as such. So yeah, I re-skeined it pretty crappily, but it'll do for now. And then I got this one, which is called Atheli. It's on her Wanala base, which is 100% superwash merino, 21.5 micron merino, which has got a nice twist to it. Yeah, and she said it's going to stripe a bit, which kind of drew me to it, and I thought, oh, I don't know if I made a pair of socks out of that. Could make it for me, but whether the boys would wear it. Actually, I think at the moment they're quite open to wearing pinks and purples, just as, you know, which is a bit odd, but they feel like they're okay to do it, which is good. I know Elijah was quite paranoid when he was little. Oh, I can't wear pink, won't use a pink spoon, but I wonder if they'll cope with it, being that it's quite bright. If not, I'll make some socks for me. So I got that, and then I got a sock blank from Jane as well, from Moseley Park. And it was a, what is it? It's a single stranded blank, and it's in her Barna base, which is superwash merino. So I feel that this, with another colour, will make a nice shawl. Do it with some kind of, incorporate another colour with it, and it'd be nice to see the gradient of it in it, but I'm not sure what. So yeah, it's my first sock blank. Be interesting to see what all the fuss is. And I deliberately got the single stranded because I thought, no, I'm not going to make socks out of it, so I won't get a double stranded one. I'll just get the single. And I also bought a new drop spindle from Ron from Spinning Woody. Got that one, which which he said it was, did he say it was rosewood? Spindle with hue and pine shaft. So yeah, I wanted a nice light one to spin quite fine, so when I apply it, it will be roughly fingering weight. Yeah, nothing like a novice spinner going hard or going home and doing the really fine stuff straight away. But hey, who knows? It'll be interesting. I haven't got anything, and the reason why I wanted to get a lighter weight drop spindle is the one that I borrowed I really need to give back to the person that I borrowed it from. And it was a nice lightweight one because I bought a heavier weighted one and it doesn't quite get the yarn fine enough, so I figured I need to get a lightweight one to replace the one that I initially borrowed, which I must remember to give back. So yeah, that one there as well. What else have I got to show you? So that's all my purchases from Mount Pleasant. I did have grand ideas of doing a bit of a vlog of taking some footage, but once I got in there, because at what time we get there, about 11 o'clock, it was quite busy and crowded, because it's not a very big hall where we are, where they have it. I felt that I'd just get in everybody's way, so I left it alone, and I didn't have much time to speak to the vendors either. It was more like hi and have a bit of a browse, and then you kind of get pushed out of the way from another shopper. Yeah, so, but hopefully next year I might be a stall holder there myself. So I suppose that leads me into showing you what I've been playing around in the dye pot. I had a go at dyeing with a different technique this time around too, because usually I've just done kettle dyeing, so basically making a dye bath or submersing the yarn in water and then essentially squirting dye over the top of it, and then letting the heat do its magic. But not this one. Once I show you that colour, I'll get to it. I'll tell you what I did. So this I dyed. This one's kettle dyed. So what I thought was going to be red is purple. Purple with green and brown. So yeah, I quite like that. It's always different. What I guess I do enjoy with dyeing is what you think it's going to be. It's not always what it, most of the time, is not what you expect. So the variance of it is always interesting, and sometimes you're happier with how it turned out than what you expected it to be, or you learn to like it. You go, oh, that's not but I do like it. Where I thought that was going to be red, and it's like a cerise purple. So I haven't reskeined them. They're just the way they were in the bath. They've just been dyed. They've still got all the ties on them and the extra tie that I put on there, so I just know where I can pull it out of the bath. And then this one I did 2 skeins of this. This I ended up doing it the steaming method way. So I soaked the yarn and then I sort of drained it off a bit. I didn't drain it off as much as what I probably should have, and then made up dye solution to then put on the yarn and, you know, work it in. So it gives a bit more of a saturation of the colour, which this turned out better than what I thought it would. As I got a couple of new dyes, and this is another one of the new ones that I got, and it's a lot brighter than what I thought it would be, but I like that, and it still gives it a variation, and that colour was a new one as well, although I didn't do a hell of a lot. It's not a wide gap, so the brown has sort of bled into it a bit and changed the colour a little bit, as same as the orange has bled into it a bit and changed the colour of what it is. But yeah, I really like that too. I'm wondering, because I did a longer panel of the brown and the orange is just at the ends, I wonder how it will knit up, how variegated it will knit up, or will it stripe a little, or what it will do, or it might just pull and be not everybody's cup of tea. I don't know about pooling. Some people, it's just, I like it. I like the what's the word for it? The freedom of, it is freedom, I guess. The freedom that it can be. It's always not going to be down. It's always not going to be just travelling in one straight line and there's no deviations. There's no interpretation of it. There's no individuality of it. But with hand-dyed yarns, you do get that you get that uniqueness, and even if it is for that indie dyer, for them a mass-produced colourway, it still has a variation, still has a table of variation of how they were dyeing on that day. Even from, when I did these two skeins, I did them both together, but they're not going to be exact. We're to the point where maybe some of the dye solution wasn't properly dissolved, and you can see the slightly red splodge of maybe an undiluted crystal. That once it sort of, I've got sauce bottles that I squirt onto, that I make the dye solution in and then squirt it onto the yarn, that the solution would have splurted out, and still would have been a bit more red in there. So it is interesting, but I do like that individuality of it and that uniqueness, and that's why when, I guess you'll say, knitting jumper quantities of indie dyed yarns, it is best to alternate colour yarn balls, so you get the symmetry through your garment. Otherwise you can have slight variances. And so even with, I've got a Malabrigo, I've got a featherweight cardigan that I knitted in Malabrigo laceweight yarn, and even there's variances, and I didn't alternate the skeins, and there is, you can, if you look at it long enough, you can see the variance in the individually dyed skeins. But hey, that's just another characteristic of the yarn. So that one, and these two lots are on the 75-25 merino nylon sock base. And then I dyed a big 200 gram hank of the organic 4-ply merino, Australian merino. And how I said the last one that I showed you with the pink, the It's a Girl pink, I did a It's a Boy blue. Which, being that I will end up divvying up the skein and doing 2 100 gram skeins of it, but I've got accurate scales at the shop that get the weights measured, come in every year to check that they are calibrated. So I can use the ones that I've got at home for cooking and stuff, which are fairly much on par, but I like that, being that I want to eventually sell this stuff if I do it properly, and I know it's on a calibrated set of scales, then I can get proper 100 gram skeins out of it. So I'll probably be rescanning these tomorrow at the shop. So yeah, that's all that I've done today in the dye, or last couple of weeks in dyeing. It's a nice day, the sun's out today, there's blue skies outside, so I might have another go at doing some steaming dyeing. The only hassle with the steaming dyeing, because you need to steam it for half an hour, let's say half an hour or so, it's not as economical as kettle dyeing, because usually the kettle dyeing, I will use hot water into the pot, and then I kettle dye outside on the gas barbecue, and so I will heat the water up, and basically once it starts simmering I turn it off, and then if I'm using speckling or variegating, I'll add the dye then and just let it cool down, and once it gets back to room temperature it's kind of done. Where steaming, you end up having the gas on and steaming it for half an hour, so it's using gas all that time. So it'd be interesting to see. Although I do like, they both have their merits. I do like the saturation of colour. You can, the steaming dyeing, you can get, it's a little bit more controlled. You kind of know what you're in for a little bit more than when you're adding dye solution to the water with submersed yarn, if that makes sense. So yeah, and then you use plastic to wrap it, so it essentially costs more to make it in the end, but that's alright. It's all an experience, and it hurts my back because I need to get a bigger table outside when I'm steaming. Yeah, and it makes a lot more mess as well, but I'm going to do more of this today to make more mess. So yeah, I think that's about it. Guild news, there's not a hell of a lot to tell you about guild news. I can't remember what the workshop is. Oh, hang on, no, there's no workshop because we've got AGM. Yeah, that's right. AGM is next month for the guild. On, let me get my phone and I'll tell you exactly the date and be all proper about it. Go September. So the AGM is on Saturday the 3rd of September at the RSL Hall in Unley. That's 29 Arthur Street in Unley. All are welcome to come along and have a new committee, or we vote for a new committee, or I think the president wants to stay, so that's alright, and I'm quite happy to stay too. And then we have a shared lunch. I can't remember what time it starts. I know we usually start at midday, and then around midday. If you want to have a look, if you want to know exact, it's all the information is on the website, which is handknittersguildofsouthaustralia.com.org, or have a look on the Facebook group, Hand Knitters Guild of South Australia, and yeah, I can give some more accurate, or the Ravelry group as well. I will update that Ravelry group, and I will concur with the website and put all that information on those forums. Yeah, there is all the prize winners from my last cow I've posted out or collected bar one. I think it is, let me just look back on my show notes. Yep, Jelly Bean Rosie and Delianza. It's just Alpaca Spinner that hasn't got her project bag. So that's Cynthia of SA. She needs to watch the podcast and get in contact with me. I guess by the next podcast, if she hasn't got in contact with me, that will go back into the prize draw for the next cow, which leads me into, I did mention last podcast that I was probably thinking of starting another cow, and I've thought of it, and thought of dates, starting dates. I'm going to call it Changing Seasons Cow. Basically, hand knitted socks and hand knitted shawls. Shawls, not scarves, but wraps and shawls are fine. Scarves, not so much. If it's a shawl that you wear as a scarf, like I wear most of my shawls, that's fine. Yeah, it will start on the 1st of September. Let me concur with the calendar dates. Start on Thursday the 1st of September and run till Monday the 31st of October, Australian time. So I will, on the 1st of September, I will open up a thread and I will create a hashtag for Instagram and Twitter. And yeah. So yeah, any hand knitted shawl. So give you some time to start thinking of planning and double dip, triple dip. I'll start a chatter thread. I'll start a finished objects thread in the group that you can show off all your projects that you've done. Yeah, and I'll have some, and I'll let you know of prizes. So I'll do prizes for the chatter thread and prizes for the finished objects thread. So get as many in as you can, and I will remember to talk about it a bit more with the upcoming podcasts as well. Sometimes I get a little bit introverted and go, oh, they know about that, but you don't always. Some things on podcasts, I know when podcasts are a little bit long, you can get distracted, and it's like watching TV. You kind of walk away and go, no, I have to stop that. I can listen to it all the time. So yeah, yeah, and so then that just leaves me to tell you, take charge of my stash and stash dash. So take charge of my stash. Last podcast I was at stash out of 3.85 kilos. So I've knitted up that much this year. As to stash in was 3.4 kilos. With my Messalina shawl, my Imbue shawl, all the Cosy Memories squares, that bumped it up, so that gave it just under 600 grams, just over 500 actually, 500 grams in total. So I'm now for stash out 3.605 kilograms, and with my 4 skeins of yarn, 4 skeins of yarn that I acquired at Mount Pleasant, that gives me up to 3.8 kilos of stash in. So I'm still 195 grams out. But that's alright, I think I made up some ground with knitting all the Cosy Memory squares, which is good because I want more to go out than come in. And I think over the next little while there won't be much coming in, only stuff for me to dye. So I really need to free up some tubs of yarn so I can put my hand dyed stuff in there, because at the moment it's just in the cupboard there, all in plastic bags and what have you. But I need to probably start putting it in tubs and get that way I have and document down everything that I've got, so I can keep a what's the word for it? Keep a stock of it. So that, as for stash dash, I had done 3,302.79 kilometres. The Messalina shawl was 359 metres. The Imbue shawl was 700 metres. I calculated all the Cosy Memory squares to 600 metres. So that gives me up to 4,961.79 kilometres. So I've almost hit the 5K that I want to do. So basically, no, I have to do probably 2 more Cosy Memory Squares and I'm at my 5K, because I calculated roughly, I think they're a little bit more, that each of my Cosy Memory Squares was about 6 grams, being that I'm doing 30 stitches by 30 stitches squares. I think they're a little bit more, but I just, for argument's sake, I had to come up with some figure and I didn't want to exaggerate it, so I've probably underrated it rather than exaggerated it. So I rated it at 6 grams and that roughly equates to 24 metres per square. So yeah, so if I do 2 more, which I'll have one finished today, hopefully I might even have 1.5 finished today, and yeah, I just need to double check the dates and then purge everything that I've done on to the group, on the Knit Girls podcast group on Ravelry, and see if I win a prize. I've already entered my imbue shawl on the Canadian cows, which I did for Knitting in Stitches, and the Grocery Girls, of course, the infamous Grocery Girls. Yeah, so they've got lots of entries, so I probably, who knows, I might win something. It'd be nice, because they have lovely yarn that gets given to them for prizes and what have you. And sometimes they must get so overwhelmed with everything that they get in there. But they seem to be quite grateful and they love talking about it, so it's quite cute. What else do I have to tell you? That told you about the cow starting soon. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about too. Anybody wants to do an advent calendar swap for Christmas, jump onto the Spicy Homemaker Ravelry group, and she's gathering expressions of interest, and I think that's closing on the 31st of August. So if you're interested in doing a 25-day advent calendar swap, or even just the other one was like under 5, 6 or 7 mini skeins. So yeah, if you're interested in doing that and sort of making it, sort of wrapping up each individual skein, so you open it up a prezi on the from December 1 to December 25, and then being that and it has to be indie dyed yarns, and they have to be at least 6 grams, I think she was saying. And yeah, so yeah, if you want to be part of that, I've joined in. I don't think my podcast group is big enough to want to do a swap yet. I think once we get a little bit bigger, we might have a go at it, see what happens, and see, yeah, where it leads us. But I do enjoy doing the swaps, because it's fun what you get in your prizes. So yeah, have a look at that. That's on Melissa's podcast group, The Spicy Homemaker, and she has a fun podcast as well. And hers is nice because she it's more about getting people involved and the community around her, which is, I really like that. I know I've told you that I go to a few groups and that sort of thing, and not many of them watch podcasts. Probably about half of them will go on Ravelry and they just won't embrace it. And I understand the podcast thing. Not many people have time to watch podcasts, and sometimes they can't cope with this, let's say, the amateur filming of it. But hey, it's just a video blog. What do you want? A movie star production, a $1 million film feature or whatever. But yeah, but Ravelry, I think a lot of people get overwhelmed with Ravelry as well. But I find that a great resource that of everything. Yeah, it opens your eyes to what is around there. But hey, we all can't be the same, and that's what makes us all individuals. We all learn. I did have a thought and then it's escaped me again. Maybe I just need to quit while I'm ahead. Okay, so I think that's about it for this time around. You can find me on Instagram as coldgirl74. I'm also on Twitter as coldgirl74 as well. Join in the Ravelry group, Yana Laid Knits podcast group, and join in the conversation there. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That would be mostly appreciated. It's slowly growing, but I don't expect it to be huge. You know, there's so many out there, and there's so many good podcasts out there for people that want to watch podcasts. Ravelry. And yeah, I'm Cold Girl on Ravelry. So send me a friend request. I'll reply. Yeah, thanks guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Thanks for someone to listen to me ramble on, because the rest of the family don't get it. But yeah. Alright then. Have a good week, guys. Enjoy your knitting. I'll see you next time. Should be two, maybe 3 weeks. Who knows what my family will let me do. See ya.